I'm back from Tasmania. We just had an unbelievable 2-week trip down to Tassie, and you can see, as promised in the last video, the ST5 definitely doesn't look like it's in showroom condition anymore. Once again, I think we got to pull that no one tests like we do back into this video, because that testing that we just done in Tasmania, I've never in the history of Patriot campers put anything through a test like I put this thing through. Welcome back to the last installment of the ST5 series. You can see that there's obviously some kind of panel damage there and the pinstriping. A lot of tracks that we went to down there, we were told they can't be done. And for me, when I get told you can't do that track towing a camper trailer, to me, that's a big green light. All right, well, we got to give this a go. We were obviously very respectful of the terrain down there. We are getting a few more grey hairs and not as gunshot as I used to be. And now I'm trying to educate the kids to really take care of the country and ensure that we leave it the way that we found it. But that still doesn't stop the fact that we push the trailers as hard as possible. So I'll give you an actual damage report. Nothing has been touched on this trailer since I got back. The trailer has literally just rolled back into Patriot HQ. The R&D team will go through it. I haven't even unpacked it yet. Yeah, we did give it a wash on the way back, obviously, just at a car wash. Hasn't even been detailed. So I'll show you in real kind of terms some of the changes that are on my list for the production trailer. The first Patriot #1 production unit, first customer trailer, is actually just hit the production line next door today. It's going down the line today. So I'll run you through a couple of things. Bash guards, the rock sliders were beat to hell in the terrain that we were on. They have done 100% their job. The rock sliders are a replaceable item, so if you get into the situation that you do this sort of damage, we can manufacture another set and they simply bolt back on. One of the big changes that I did make throughout the process, I did actually remove the rear rock slider. I've decided to bring that back in, so the production trailers will be getting the rock slider. On this side here, we haven't actually got any damage, even with some of those massive overhangs. The rear rock sliders that are welded into the chassis that you would have seen in the first video did their job amazingly, as we knew they would, because that was one of the design cues that we took from the toy hauler range that we produced 8 or 9 years ago. We did do a lot of dragging of the back of the trailer through some of those rocks and over big washouts and those sorts of things, and they performed absolutely amazingly. The terrain that we were in, I was very, very surprised that we didn't do any damage. You can see a couple little scratches here on the rear bar. This rear bar is a steel tube rear bar, very, very heavy wall. So it is designed that even with this departure angle, and we're not even at full height at the moment, the departure angle on the ST5, I haven't got a chart to tell me, but I can tell you visually. I'll be very surprised if there was anything else on the market that had a departure angle on this size trailer, especially when you consider that you can lift it up to that full suspension height. So you've got a massive departure angle at the back, but we did catch a couple of rocks. Again, we put the trailer into terrain that, you know, with no arrogance, I don't think a customer or many customers would push as hard as we did. And again, that comes back to that's what my role at Patriot is all about. I need to take these things to the extreme because I need to know that a customer can push them as hard as I do if that's the way that they're inclined to roll. And I love the customers that do actually bring their trailers back looking in this condition. It's not about disrespecting the product, but it is about, there is a reason that you buy a Patriot over anything else. And that reason is to have the ability to get to those remote destinations and push the trailer as hard as you can, and knowing that if your tow vehicle is going to make it there, then the trailer is always going to go there with you. So the rear bar done an absolutely amazing job. I did actually break the 2 handles on the back, so you can see in some situations, we still got the rock lights at the back there. You can see none of this sheet metal is panel damage, but we did actually break the handles off on both of the stabilizers. So the new rear rock slider that's coming over the back, the main job of that rock slider is protect these handles here, but it's also going to protect these panels. Coming around the rear of the trailer, couple of the new additions that I ran through in the build series. This table came in absolutely amazing. You'll see through some of the footage, some of the different things that we used it for. The layout and the accessibility into the trailer is now 100%. The moving of the TVMS screen, which I explained in a previous video, from the side kitchen box to the rear. You'll see in some of the footage, and my dad was the first one, when we actually got out on the trip, and Dad opened the rear of the trailer and he's like, why did you move the switches to the back? I actually said to my dad, I'll show you during the trip. Now you'll see in a lot of footage on the trip, when we were in very, very overgrown, very tight tracks, or even we were in big sand washouts, when we got to the situation that we had to level the trailer from left to right to get it around the trees to actually get it down the track, you can imagine if we had the controllers in the side, there's no way of turning on power and there's no way of manipulating the airbags. So you'll see a lot of footage where always at the back, because the cars come through, we pop the rear tailgate, we'll lean the trailer over, get it over a rock, get it over a log, get it around a tree, and there was never ever a problem with access. We did on the X-Range on some of those same trucks that have the airbag control in the side box, and we did get into that situation where we literally couldn't open the door to adjust the airbag, so we had to work out other ways to get even the X-Range through. So that was something that I'm really proud of, and we got that right. This is all part of the reason that we do the testing that we do. You know, even coming up to the very last hour of trailer customer production number 1 hitting the line, we're still making these fine tweaks. But with the short list that I have of changes that are going to make it on the production trailer number 1, I feel like we've absolutely nailed it. When it comes to the kitchen, actually I'll grab Sarah right now. Let me go and grab her, and I'll get her to run you through the functionality of the kitchen, and also she can talk through the interior layout, because I think once again, we've absolutely nailed it.
Hello.
Hello, how you going?
Good.
I'm just giving everybody the run through, the final run through. What do you think, Tassie?
Loved it.
Yeah?
I mean, I love the X-Range, but this was so different for us. It took a little bit to get used to.
It definitely did.
But now, yeah, well, for you towing it, for me, when I was packing it, even the amount of space is just ridiculous. I couldn't feel it. Yeah. So it's just so functional. I love it.
Well, why don't you give everyone a bit of a run through? I've just taken everyone around the kind of damage report, which I'm just blown away with what we did with this unit. The limited amount of damage that it has. I'm absolutely blown away. I did not expect it. Engineering team, when I pulled this thing back into Patriot HQ yesterday, they came out and had a look at it, and everybody's been blown away. Yeah, it's pinstriped and it's got some scratches. Yeah. But I like them looking like this, to be honest with you. It shows that they've been used.
Not everyone's going to take this where you take it.
No, and that's what I keep saying. Like, we push it past the limit of where a normal customer would go, but that's our job.
And that's the point of testing them.
That's our job. So why don't you run everyone through what you liked and what you didn't like? And there is a couple of changes, like a new fridge and the RGB controllers and the placement of the power switches, and and run them through the interior on what you thought, because it's yin and yang here, right? I just want the thing to not break and ride amazing, and Sarah wants everything purposeful. So I think we're a very good match when it comes to design, as proven by the X-Range success, I think.
100%, and this is the same.
It's another level. All right, I'll leave you to it, and I'll pop back in just a minute.
Cool, love you. I'm going to run straight off.
Yeah, I'll see you at home. We'll be home early. We've got to strap those palm trees up and shit.
The tropical cyclone is expected to make landfall in the dead of night between Brisbane and the Gold Coast.
So we've just gotten back from Tasmania and I'm still smiling. It was the best trip. Very hardcore, crazy, as testing always is, but it was a great trip in the ST5 for me. It wasn't a weekender. It wasn't an easy trip. It was very, very hardcore what we took this thing through. And I just want to kind of run you through what worked for me, what I liked. And to be honest, I thought, you know, things would end up everywhere. And it's the first time we've really, really gone out off-road crazy with it. And everything just stayed in place. I'll run you through some bits on the kitchen, a little bit on the interior, just on what I think makes this trailer the best. The front section here, it's really, really spacious, as you can see. We have the same, you know, genetics as the X range. We have the barbecue swing away at the front, which we used often. But what makes it even better in the ST5 is if you pull out your fridge, you've got a big 85 litre here as well. Actually, normally I use the 95. This 85, couldn't even tell the difference. And there's some really cool little functionalities with this that I'll run you through when we get to that. But let's look over this side. So as you're using your barbecue, so the man cave, Justin's at the front, he'll be cooking. We have this great chopping board at the front. We'll keep all of his tongs and everything around this side. So he really has his own space. And if you've seen with the X range, I really appreciate the use of space. So everyone's kind of got their own job and their own section when setting up, when cooking, doing maintenance, anything like that. No one's going over each other. There's a space for everyone. So love this area. He can do his cooking and he's out of my way. You've got this great prep area as well. Actually, I kept forgetting that this was here. So I only pulled it out a few times. But, you know, when you're out there, I would put all of the meals for everyone, line it up here, and it was kind of like a servery. Everyone could come and get their food. And again, they're not over on your bench space. You've still got all of your area over there without everyone scrambling over you trying to get into their food. Back to the fridge. If you pop into this fridge, you'll find, and I'm sure everyone kind of has this issue, the baskets in the fridge. When you're trying to load up the fridge, it is so frustrating sometimes that you have the separated areas. You have to pull this one out to get down into the bottom section, and I find it annoying. I don't know if anyone else does, but this beauty has a little hatch, don't know what that is, but it can get me into the bottom of the fridge without having to pull the whole section out. I really, really found that functional. Moving around to this section here. So this is a massive big pantry. And to be honest, when we were packing for this trip, I was loading up the kitchen section as I normally would in the X range. Everything was going into these compartments here. And then I realized I've got a whole nother pantry, which was funny. So I ended up, as you do when you first go out camping, throwing way too much stuff in there and put things in that we didn't even touch. But as you use the trailer, you know, you'll take things out and you'll find the space for it. But I found this so good having that massive, massive pantry in there. So it was never full, to be honest. I couldn't even fill it when I tried. Same as the X range. We have the sink, which pulls out the same way. With this one, it's exactly the same. So in here, I kept all of the tongs and the bigger cutlery. And in here, we keep our bowls and our small cutlery. I kept paper towels, sauces, things like that in there. It was really easy to pull out and access, you know, when you're being quick, when you're on the run, even making lunch, you know, you don't want to have to pull everything out. You don't have to do that because you've got your little hidey hole where you've got all your necessities on a quick feed. Over this side, I spoke about the pantry, but also I found up here when washing up, it's a great area to put all your plates as they're drying. It's out of the way and you can still, you know, get into the sink as well. So I'd sometimes have that out as I was washing up, or when you're done cooking, it just sits there back in that position. So Another great space. There's actually too much space. I couldn't fill it, and I love to put stuff everywhere. So I just found the functionality of this perfect, and again with the separate sections. No one's going over each other. This kind of looks familiar because it's very X-range, but I mean there is a lot of differences here between the X-range, and one of my absolute favourite is the induction stove. So we had a lot of wind, a lot of bad weather, a lot of late nights, a lot of quick meals, and the induction really was my best friend. So you could cook so quickly, you didn't have to plug in the gas, heats up straight away. I had 2 big pots on there, and I could, get a meal together really, really fast for the team when they were hungry. So the induction is definitely a winner for me. Moving on, storage space, very similar to the X-range. In here, we took the coffee machine. So we don't generally take the coffee machine. Some trips we do. We packed it for this trip and pulled it out every day, more than once a day. And everyone loved a coffee. Really quick again, just plug it straight into the power. What I found is there's no messing around with anything. Everything's got its place. Everything's simple to use. The functionality, I can't fault the functionality here. The only thing I can really fault is the way that Justin thinks that this is the X-range and this big and will take it anywhere. That was the only thing I could fault. So you've got your power over here, plug in anything. We've got a speaker plugged in here, your lighting system for your awning as well. And then I'll just pop you quickly around to the back. Storage mats, great in here again. You've got your wet storage boxes. What I loved was this pocket here. So as you go up into bed at night, leaving your shoes on the floor isn't always great. You don't know the weather, you don't know what's going to happen, so you don't want to leave them on the ground. So we'd go up in and just throw your shoes in there, your boots, your thongs, whatever you've got, goes in there, and they're easy to grab before you go on the ground in the morning. Definitely beneficial on this trip. Very stressful when you're with Justin. So the bar. The bar came in really, really handy. Everyone had a really good time enjoying that. And I also actually found that Justin spent a lot of time around here, not just drinking, sorry, that sounded terrible, but if he was working on something or just tinkering, he'd kind of come back here and he'd do a lot of his tinkering and stuff around on this table. Yeah, it was really good. I'd pop around all the time and he was around here doing something. So another space out of the way, you can't have too much bench space. Red Arc, so I loved that everything is in the one spot. So I can set this trailer up, put this trailer down, everything, I know where it is. It's all clearly labelled, even for me. Sometimes things are labelled different than they are in the other trailers. So having this and being able to see what each button does, clearly written, shows you the indication. You really can't stuff up. Like, it's time saving as well. You're not pressing every single button to try and find where your light switch is. You've got your airbags, your awning, everything in the one location. Love it. The best bit is definitely inside. So we had some bad weather, some high winds and everything. The interior of the ST5, it is honestly, you go in there, you shut the door, you're in a completely different zone. It is calming, having a shower, having a toilet, the basin to brush your teeth, everything just functioned perfectly. I was actually doing quite a bit of work on the road as well. So I was set up in there, in the internal table, out of the weather, right on the beach. It was nice, I could concentrate. Everyone else was enjoying what they were doing, and I could, get stuff done really fast in there because I was in my own little environment. Another thing I found really great is as we're moving around, constantly moving, constantly stopping, filming, doing all of those things, you'd have to get into the trailer. And in complete closed position, you can access every single compartment inside the ST5. So if I'd forgotten something, well, we have the Starlink in there, you can easily get in there, grab that out, anything is accessible inside there. I've even used the bathroom instead of having to go to the bush. It's unbelievable, the functionality of the ST5. There's not really much that I can say is a negative. It worked really well. I was excited to use it in situations I wasn't comfortable with. And I mean, the way Justin was angling the trailer, The places that we got this thing, I honestly thought would open it and everything would be everywhere and I'd have to deal with a disaster. That didn't happen at all. Everything stayed in place. The bar was ready to go when we pulled up. Yep, can't fault it. I love it.
I'll continue now going through the rest of the trailer. Couple of other things. The jockey wheel, I did actually replace the jockey wheel. I smashed that one to bits, which we knew. I did talk about that in the video. All the production trailers will be featuring a twin wheel, very heavy duty jockey wheel that can one pin completely be removed for that real extreme off-roading, and it's height adjustable as well, which is a big advantage. I did say in the suspension video, the biggest change that we've made to all the production trailers is upping the testing to handle a bigger load now that we understand what Trinamic can do. And one of the things I can report, I've been towing for a very long time in all sorts of terrain and all different weight trailers, from our 900 kilo X2 right up to a fully loaded toy hauler at 3.5 tonne. I've never experienced anything like this. Trinamic is a masterpiece. It's an absolute masterpiece. The ability to push that trailer through absolutely anything. The trailer will always out-tow the tow vehicle. Now, in that trip, I was running a Ram 1500 admittedly with a Hemi, so I had tons of power on tap, and I was running a 2-inch lift with Fox remote res shocks. The ride on that 1500 was absolutely amazing, but the 1500 can't get to the speeds that the ST5 is capable of doing. When it comes to fuel consumption, so I was averaging over the entire trip 24.6 litres per 100 was my average by the time I got back here to Patriot HQ. Towing an X-Range trailer with Sarah's old 1500, very, very comparable as far as build and all the rest of it goes. We used to sit around 23 litres per 100. So when you consider that you're towing such a bigger unit, the low height of the ST5, the width, the stance of the ST5, the ability to drop the airbags down, fuel consumption was definitely noticeable when it comes to towing something this big. As far as other damage goes, we've cracked one of the front boxes in here. This is a replaceable item, 4 bolts, and that'll be replaced. We smashed out some reflectors, which any of the Patriot owners will know, something that's very common. We can't get around the ADRs. We have to put the plastic reflectors on the front. That's why we do use plastic reflectors. The ADRs don't allow for reflective tape. So at the moment, if anybody's got any better ideas on how to put reflectors on the front that aren't going to be damaged by stones getting thrown off the car, please put it in the comments, because I haven't been able to find that product just yet. The other thing that we've damaged, which I haven't quite resolved yet, again, I think this one here was very circumstantial to the trip and the terrain that we were putting these through, was just these little awning stay brackets here. I did actually take a spare pair down with me. I didn't find that I needed, they actually still work, they just don't look very good, because I thought that might be a problem rubbing the thing up against rocks and all the rest of it. So I think that one there is very circumstantial. More scratches down the side. The doors are powder coat. We will attempt to buff this one up, and this is a vinyl wrap on the top. So this wrap can be replaced, and all the powder coated, all the trims will be replaced. So we will clean this thing up. This is my unit. We've scratched up all of the wheels, and the only other bit of damage that I said before was, again, from not having that rock slider at the back, so that gap open up there. So that's going to about wrap up this series on the ST5, and I think give people a much clearer indication of what we can do through the marketing videos of the why behind the ST5. And this has all been very personal, this project. We've really matured as a brand. Sarah and I are at a completely different stage in our life when it comes to touring. We're not ready for the caravan lifestyle. I don't know if I'll ever be ready for the caravan lifestyle, because for me, it's all about remote destination touring, getting as far away from everybody and everything as we possibly can, right? We still want to be able to push the limits. We want to be confident in pushing the limits. I want the ability to diagnose any issues without the input of the teams. I carry a Starlink with me, but my team knows that Starlink is only for emergencies. And that's what the Patriot brand has always been about. When you tune into the episodes of Patriot Games, and hopefully you watch the series down in Tasmania, you'll see what this has always been about for us, keeping the family together, what we learn about the kids, what we learn about each other when we are in those remote situations, when we do put ourselves into some of those situations that my team sometimes hates me for. That's when everyone's true colours come out. And the same has been done with the innovation behind the ST5. I've pushed this from the top as hard as I could possibly push it, but I've got the best out of everybody that's been involved with it. From my team here at Patriot Campers, the production team, and obviously the engineering team, learning all of these new techniques and pushing that innovation of Australian manufacturing as a predominant focus behind everything that we do, Patriot Campers. There's a saying here within our supply chain team, if we can buy Australian made, we do, and that's how we produce Australian quality. And to all of the suppliers that we've collaborated with, you know, we've partnered on this build with some amazing brands and met some amazing people that are experts in their fields. I think that maturity of the company also shows that we know what we don't know. So we've brought in a lot of external people to help us with these new manufacturing techniques that's really seen the company move into a whole new direction. This will be a really good change for the company in absolutely every aspect. We're very well known for the X-Ranger camper trailers, the very small towables, and they will always have their place. This trailer here will not replace an X-Range, and we did prove that throughout this series. There isn't many people that are going to take that sort of investment and put it through the punishment that I've done on this trip for all of the reasons that I've explained throughout the videos. But one thing I did notice is how easily the X-Range did this sort of touring. Rob towing the X3, Mia towing the X2. They don't have to think about it. Mia, 17 years old, had her license for 6 months and towed a camper trailer down a track that you haven't seen yet, but you probably know if you've heard of four-wheel driving in Tasmania. And she did that because the trailer is so compact and is so light and she doesn't have to think about it. So this is not the future of Patriot Campers. This is a big part of the future of Patriot Campers. We will continue to refine the X-Range. We will continue to work on the X-Range. We have no intentions of being at caravan parks anytime soon. We want to be in those remote locations. So make sure you tune into the episodes of Patriot Games when they're released. They'll be coming out to you shortly. It's going to be a very hardcore 6-part series of some amazing scenery in Australia with some amazing people and some absolutely amazing products. If you want to see an ST5 for yourself, get into Patriot Campers showroom, main showroom, right beside the manufacturing facility here on the Gold Coast, Queensland, Australia, or get into Patriot Campers in Las Vegas.